What's up, Gloucester Township? I'm Joe Allen, here with Keith Gibbons. This is the Restore GT podcast.
Yep, I just noticed this tree needs to go closer to you than me is towards me here, but either way, whatever.
I think you're on my side, actually. I think that's probably what it is.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it doesn't light up.
Either way.
It does light up.
We need producers, guys. This is just a skit we're doing to try to get people to come and give us a hand with this podcast. We could use some help. It's growing, and
actually, there's probably an angry ex-girlfriend in central Pennsylvania that's seeing this right now and going, that's where my tree is. I stole that. I pulled that out of the corner of the basement. And I was like, that's a good backdrop for the podcast.
Yeah.
I have light up trees, but we weren't ready for them. And I didn't realize until we sat down that this is the last podcast before Christmas.
Yeah. So, we don't have much time left before the new year. Well, we have a cool Christmas for sure, right?
Yeah.
We should wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Joe.
We should. Yeah, absolutely. Look, there are, what did we say? There's 231 subscribers now.
Yeah. That's great.
That's great.
There's way more people that listen, though, than are subscribed. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of people that just randomly just stop now. They stop you. Nobody stops me, but they stop you all the time and say that they listen. And it's definitely more than that.
You get it, too. You get emails. I know you hear it. But, yeah, there's definitely more. And we thank all of you guys for doing that. Just subscribe. No one's going to know that you subscribed. It's a weird thing in this town. Everybody's afraid of.
Everybody kind of is afraid to be associated with the.
With us. Sorry, guys.
With the bad guys here. But look, 2,100 people just viewed the.
The
fire district. Over at the fire district over at is it Lamb's Terrace, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2,100 people viewed that. So
in 3 days, 2 days or something like that.
Yeah, it was crazy. But 231 subscribers. Would be nice if those 2,100 people looked at it and said, "Yeah, you know what? I'm going to keep track of these guys, just to see what goes on." So any
love you can give us, we appreciate.
Yeah. Subscribe if you can, but also thank you so much for. We've been doing this now, man. We were here last Christmas.
We were here last Christmas. We did. Yeah, we did have a tree, so this is probably like about a year-ish or so that we've been. I
think we're about a year and a half in now too. So hey, Merry Christmas to you guys, and thank you so much for following us.
Yeah.
And if my voice still sounds like crap, I'm 2 months into a weird cough thing.
This guy's a mess. I don't know what's going on with him. We might need a new co-host, so. Submissions.
Yeah. If a great co-host comes along and I could do producer
take my
stuff,
place, please get me out of here, guys.
No, I'll sit over here where all the equipment is and do the stuff rather than like doing this off screen while we're talking at the same time. I would love it.
Yeah.
So.
But here, this is for you guys here.
Yeah.
Happy holidays, everyone. Merry Christmas. From what I understand, it's Hanukkah this time.
So.
Yeah.
Yep.
Miss Smithman says Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah.
Yep.
And any other holidays that are also in the same time frame too.
Yeah. But today's podcast, we're going to be recapping the December 11th council meeting. There was a lot that went on and nothing that went on as well. Like all meetings, the public has questions, a lot of questions, and we don't get answers. It's just a Stonewall typical thing, but this is why we do this podcast, to kind of show you guys what we are up against and what we need help with, kind of fighting for our rights here in town. Hey,
look, if Gloucester Township was good at council meetings, we would have nothing to do on Friday nights.
Yeah.
Damn.
Joe and I would not have to do this. It'd be great. We could be doing other things. Anyway,
we could do
to give you guys a little bit of story around what's going on with this here, because if you're not in tune, this council meeting and the questions that are coming out might be quite confusing for you and saying, what are they talking about? So in town here, there are, I think, is it 6? We have 6 different fire districts, and depending on where you live in town, you have a different fire district. And some districts are all volunteers. Some districts are I think they call them career, where they're paid.
Full timers, and you get and you get volunteers.
There's just a lot of different things, and then there's a commissioner for each of these different fire districts. Each of these fire districts have a election that happens to elect these people, and it's just a more confusion to help create chaos in which no one can follow what goes on. Is basically what it comes down to. We've heard both sides of the story, I guess you could say, of the fire people who say, why do we have 6 different districts? We can't get our own, whatever it is. And I'm not a fireman, I apologize, but a ladder truck, just say. Like, I don't know. Like, we don't have a ladder truck. And we can't call, again, I'm just using a number, District 2. They have, 2 of them. But we can't use it. And it's just a whole, they can't share. They act as if they're different countries, different worlds, whole different things. And we're one town, right? As far as your taxes, as far as the schools go, as far as a municipality goes, it's all one thing. But for some reason, fire districts are a whole separate, multiple different entities.
Yeah, one of the big examples that I thought was kind of a really big deal was, I know, talking to one of the guys. He's a full-time guy at one location, and then volunteers, I guess, back office stuff at a different location, and pretty much said, like, I can't hop on a truck in that location and go help out if something happens because I'm full-time over there. And if it were one district, it would be different. And if it were one district, a lot of other things would work better. And I guess there may be some districts that don't work well with other districts,
but that has to do with the commissioners and all, right? And the politics between different districts. We're not one, even though we're one town. We're not one town in fire world.
We're six different districts,
right?
So, there's different chiefs and then different commissioners, but we've kind of stayed away from this too because look, it's one of those things that you don't. Not that I would ever find a reason to talk bad about it, but it's like nobody.
You get we had this conversation last week.
It's about
with
the police
Sam.
too. Like nobody wants.
You can't. It's a topic that supposedly is like taboo, right? Like you can't talk about it. Why can't you talk about it? It's not. It's. We've heard this many of times from many different angles about the ups and downs of it, but it's a topic that people should talk about. But when you talk about it, you're not talking negatively about anyone. However, there are different people who are in positions like we'll be getting into and that were questioned around this that maybe they're offended by it and maybe they needed to be, paid $90,000 a year. That kind of thing. That's a whole separate topic. If one particular person feels offended about this or something, that has nothing to do with the residents and the betterment of the entire overall picture, right? Is that a fair way to say it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like when somebody just asks a question about, let's say the police. Hey, why do the police take their cars home? Is that a waste of money? And it's just a simple question like, hey, I haven't done the research. People jump on it, so people don't want to ask questions.
Right.
It's kind of with the fire, it's the same thing, but it's us at the same time when we talk about the fire districts. It's never because nobody's ever questioned the fire districts. The fire districts came up actually in my campaign back when I ran in 2021. That was a really passionate subject. That firemen were coming out and they were talking about, the districts, consolidation, and some of the stuff that goes on with some people that are favored in town. And, here we are 2.5, 3 years later, and
it's still something you talk about.
It's still showing up. And in fact, there are more firefighters now and more people now that are really passionate about talking about this.
I don't want to say problem with this. This is the outcome of people like you and I. As much as this is annoying that we feel like we can't get anywhere when we're fighting for whatever this is people are afraid to speak up, right? but the more people that do speak up, the more people feel like, hey, I also can say something. If these two guys are okay doing this and they haven't been, suicided yet, maybe I can say something as well. And that's kind of like what helps, drive us to try to get other people to like, hey, just speak your mind. And recently what happened was on Facebook, there was somebody, it was an anonymous account under like a fake name that came out and just, I don't want to say blew the whistle, but basically blew the whistle saying like, hey, before anybody does anything else, go to this meeting here because this particular fire commissioner is going to raise his salary from, and don't quote me on the numbers, but it was like $37,000 a year to be $89,000 a year. And it's already passed. And by the way, in addition to that 37 that he had before, he was also getting full benefits at cost to town $30,000 a year. So he really was getting $67,000 a year to bump it up to $89,000 a year, plus the benefits that that he has, and it's just a whole thing. So it was a whistleblowing kind of moment that happened.
Yeah.
That got people riled up, and of course me with my camera, I go wherever something the camera takes me, and I went to the fire commissioner meeting. When I got there, I saw other people that were there, and somebody stood up and asked questions. And basically, you'll see a few different questions throughout this clip here, which come about by questioning the actions of this one particular fire commissioner. So, a fire commissioner in Gloucester Township, no matter what district it is, typically ranges between $4,000 and $6,000 a year. One, though, however, who happens to be the son of a former mayor of Gloucester Township, his salary is higher than everyone, and it's in the state of New Jersey, and it's higher than it's now increased to $89,000 a year from $30-something thousand a year. 40,000, whatever it was. It was almost double. It was more than double his salary from last year, and it's kind of just dismissed as like, hey, they voted on it. The taxpayers pay it. I don't know. If you have a problem with it, you should have come to the meetings. It's your fault, yeah, public, for not coming out and saying something before this, because it's actually already a done deal. So I don't know what you want us to do.
And then so with that, over the years, we've talked to a few firefighters through email, some anonymously, some not, and reached out and said, any comments? And basically, a lot of them said, got a lot of comments, wouldn't put them in writing.
Right, and that's the thing. People are afraid,
So, yeah, so we talked about doing a kind of a anonymous, like, shaded out, change their voice kind of video.
Yeah.
It's a possibility. I mean, if somebody really wanted to talk, and we could go through the
yeah. I mean, it would be really interesting because Joe, you and I have talked, because these people know that we are not putting it out on the air.
Yeah.
But however, on the air is what needs to happen. Telling me and you doesn't do anything. Like it's not getting the message out. When you get the message out, like that last video of a couple thousand views, that's what actually help make change, and we need more of that. So if somebody was able to come on, whether it's through just, hey, giving us a call while we're on the air here, and we can disguise your voice so no one knows who it is, and then you can say what it is that needs to be said, because Joe and I don't know everything. We're not. I'm not a fireman. You're not a fireman. Are you? Are you a fireman?
No.
So we don't know. You guys know. We need to be the ones that can help get the message out. You can be the ones that tell us what the message is that needs to go out, and work together and try and just shed light. Sunlight is a great disinfectant, right?
Yeah. So
anyway, let's get into. So that was a little bit long-winded backstory into some of the clips that you'll hear, but I feel like it's a necessary, because there was a lot of talk about this meeting, right, Joe?
Yeah.
That kind of like needed to be said. So let's get into it here. We have
So the meeting was on December 11th.
Yep.
That was the last meeting. There was a Tom Cardis, our good friend.
He was missing. Right?
He was not there. So
yeah,
there was not
Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
But we had so Ray Polidoro asks questions. Ray Polidoro was the one that was in the. If you did watch the fire commissioner meeting that I taped and put up on our YouTube, he's the same gentleman here. Let's just play the clip here and we'll get into it.
Unfortunately, when we go on the website, we pull up the agenda. What is missing on the resolution is all the pertinent information that the public would want to know as to what amounts are moving forward. I don't think that without that disclosure and transparency to the public, you should move forward with that, because unless you know where else to get this other than where you would have normally posted it, you have the resolution, you have no amounts. So I don't know how you're moving forward without the amounts. And did council see those amounts to be able to move forward on that?
Council has the amounts.
And why wasn't it not, why was it not published to the published for the public?
I'm going to ask the clerk. In the past, have we done that, provided that? No.
I'm sorry?
No, in the past, that has not been provided. Is that something that has to be provided?
That I would refer to Mr. Carlin there.
So the statute requires each fire district to provide a resolution of the amount of salaries to each commissioner to the governing body. The governing body has to do a resolution authorizing the approval, in a sense, formality that they've reviewed it. So statute reads subject to approval by the government.
I find that to be counter transparent. And before I lose all my time of the 3 minutes.
Yeah. So I guess council doesn't really have a say.
Yeah, I mean, it was brought up in different conversations there, and they do have a say, they don't have a say, but basically at the end of the day, like the question that Ray asked, it was asked multiple times, and you'll see it later on, but there's no requirement for them to post what the salary is. However, if they did post the salary, maybe people would ask about it. It is in the best interest of the people who are paying the bill for this person's salary to know that, but because it's not a requirement, they don't do it. And that just goes into our whole issue with transparency in our government. And whatever, here we are again on another podcast.
Yep.
But yeah, anyway, so Smithman asks about our council's salary, and
oh man,
she asked about. She says Orlando was paid $6,000 a year as council president, and he disagrees. And basically, the only thing that came out of this was we now know where Smithman came from. Orlando knocked on her door during campaign at one point in time, encountered her, and he must have said like, "You should go out to a council meeting," and we now deal with her. We now listen to her every single week.
Every week.
Yeah.
For if there are 30 minutes in a segment, and
she wants 38.
And look, if two people other than her spend 5 minutes up there, she will take up the rest of the 20 minutes of that segment.
Mm-hmm. And it's she is always called on. The way that our meetings work is it's like, this is how many people, this is how many. Oh, Ms. Smithman, you have something to say? I'd like your vote. I'd like you also to take up the time from these other people who are going to be asking me other questions, not what my favorite flavor of ice cream is. Yeah. So,
was it the year 2021? I believe it was warm. Councilman Hutchinson, who's not here today, Councilman Grace, and yourself, Councilman Mercado. I can't recall if Ms. Winters was there. Councilman Winters came to my apartment. They were knocking on everyone because the elections were coming up. You had said that you made $6,000 per year.
No.
Would you recall when?
Oh, I knocked on your door, yes, in 2021.
It was 21.
But no.
Yeah, he does not make $6,000 a year. I believe he makes $8,900. Council president gets a little bit more.
I don't remember. I think he said
a couple $100 more. Yeah. I think it's like $8,900. I don't know. But it gets a little bit, but it's not $6,000. But the most important thing is, this is where the monster came from.
That's exactly that's what we found out. Yeah. But yeah, we have it goes into like we had salary ranges of different people. So like any job that you apply for, there's a range of like, hey, if you're going to be the whatever, let's just say secretary,
solicitor,
something. It's anywhere between $30,000 and $45,000, somewhere around there, or it's $1 an hour range, somewhere between $17 and $18 an hour. So every year this happens, and every year it's a whole big thing, and they try to explain it's just a range, but there's a reason that the higher end of the range changes. Whether you say that this person that's in the position that the range is being adjusted for makes, it doesn't. There's a reason that it's being changed, right? And
so last year, and the reason why this is important is last year, and I'm going to make these numbers up because I don't know the exact numbers. Last year, our business administrator, let's say our business administrator last year was making $190,000, and last year they said business administrators can make up to $230,000. And everybody, a lot of people went up there and said, "Wait a minute, you're gonna do a $190,000 to $230,000. You're gonna give them a $40,000 range?" They go, "No, we're just going to say that this position now can get up to $230,000. We're not saying that they're going to get a $40,000 year raise." Yeah, right.
So how many business administrators do we have?
Yeah, one.
One. Okay, so we're not talking about the one particular person. We're talking about a range.
We're just talking about.
Can you like downplay it to me and explain it to me like I'm an effing idiot and tell me that it's a range again? But you're talking about a position that one person holds. Hello.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody that walks in the door.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for dumbing it down for me.
Anybody that walks in the door
as an idiot here, sitting here,
is now anybody. Yeah, anybody that comes in.
Yeah.
You get the business administrator job. Your salary can be up to $230,000, and everybody said, "Wait, I don't know that we should give. We're just going to give somebody a $40,000 raise," and they go, "No, we're not giving him a raise. We're just saying that he can get a raise up to." And then right after that, they gave him the raise up to that.
Well, so when you're in private industry, right? You're an employee of a company, right? There's a range of like salary increases each year, right? Have you ever received anything of a dollar amount increase, or was it more of a you can get 2%?
It's percentage.
3%.
It's been percentage.
So they don't. Okay, so just so
no.
This is how I deal with it too. It's not. You're not going to get a, you know what? I know you make 200. We're going to make it 240,000 a year. Is the range that we're going to do? I know it's not you. It's a range, idiot.
Yeah,
it's a range, not.
I've been a salaried employee for at least 23, 24 years probably, and as a salaried employee,
there are also caps too of what you can rate. Like if you say like I'm going to do that job, like oh well. We can't give you more than a certain percentage raise to go do that job. You literally, most of the time, you have to leave a position, go to another company, and then be rehired at that same company at a higher rate in order to make another range.
I've definitely had to leave places to go to other places to move up. Otherwise, I would have just been stuck. So I've had to go to other places that were offering more, and I've had to jump around quite a bit to get where I'm at now. But it's always been, and in some places will basically say, look, my job is, I work in IT. So basically what they would say is, look, we're capping out IT increases at 4%.
Right.
So at your best people are going to get 4%. And then, some people are going to get 1, some are going to get 2. You're capping out at 4%. And that's just how it goes, and that's how it's always been. It might be 4%
for a bucket of employees, right? So if you have, maybe you could get 5%, but that means that somebody else got less because the entire bucket of employees does this. But when that entire bucket of employees consists of one person, okay.
And
it's a dollar amount that's way more than a percentage.
And it's usually it's based on how the company performance was for that year, you know. So whatever companies that I've worked for, whether they've been in retail or now I work for a law firm, it's based on how the company performed. In the public sector, there is no performance.
No,
the money's essentially endless.
It is endless because it doesn't come from anywhere other than the public.
You just go back to the public and take
Guess
more.
What? You have no choice but to pay this bill because we approved it because people voted for us.
Yep.
That's the problem. That's the difference between private and public. If I need to make money, I need to make money, not somebody who's elected to say, pay me because I'm elected.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
And now when you hear the crazy people say taxation's theft.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, try it. And if you're like, that's not right, we need taxes. Well, try to disagree with some of them sometimes. Mm-hmm. See what happens to you. They'll take it.
So, all right, let's play this salary range.
I know when we asked this question last year, they said you compared it to other townships. And if so, can we have the townships that was, like, what's the rhyme or reason behind some of the raises?
So again, these are ranges.
The ranges, idiot.
These are ranges. And so last year, when you had asked that question, and we asked Ms. Jeppy, and she provided information about surrounding municipalities that we get compared to, provided some of that information. I believe this time the same information was used. I don't believe there was a polling or surveying of these other municipalities. Is that correct?
It was repolled, but we used the
Repolled,
same.
okay.
We used the same towns that I had pulled before. So some were updated, some were not.
Okay.
Can I get the listing of those towns? Would that be possible?
Yes.
Okay, so do I just talk to her after the meeting?
I can provide it to you this week.
Okay.
This week.
All right.
Joe, in your job, when someone asks you a question about something that you literally just did or is on the agenda for a meeting that you actually have, do you not know the towns? Like, how many towns did they list last time? 4 or 5 towns? Do you not know those towns off the top of your head? So either you are so incompetent in your job that you can't remember who you actually polled on these things, or you're intentionally not giving someone the information just to be a...
Yeah. Well, look, how many towns do they generally compare Gloucester Township to?
Cherry Hill.
2.
Washington Township.
Basically 2.
Okay, let's stop there.
That's pretty much it.
But they literally can't answer those 2 names of towns.
They're
going to stop, and they're going to stop them and saying,
"Yeah,
I can get it to you this week."
Do you know what?
Are you kidding me? Seriously?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. If I go into a meeting with
no information whatsoever
about a particular topic, and my boss asked me a question about the part that I specialize in, and I don't have the answer. Look, he's going to light me up on that phone call.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
She's not there every meeting. Just so everyone knows, that Jeppy or whatever her name, she's not there every meeting. She's there specifically to answer questions that people have from the public about this topic, and she cannot answer that question.
Yeah. So...
it's insane to me.
They
oh my God, it's infuriating.
Sam wanted to be here for this meeting to talk about a lot of this stuff. It is has a happy birthday to his daughter. It's her 16th birthday party tonight, so he could not be here. I was like, you could sneak away. And he's like, you're going to get me in trouble. And I was like, it's probably the same trouble that you get me into when you talk about running for election again. So
yeah.
So, yeah.
Anyway, that pissed me off. We're trying to fly through this stuff, guys, but we have so many opinions about stuff, but I think you get the gist of it. We're going to go into clip 4 here, which is about our rubber stamping of what a fire district is. Again, going back to this topic.
With regards to the fire districts, it's my understanding that the council has really no say over the fire districts. It's kind of like you just are the middleman collecting the tax, and then you send it to the fire districts. So...
see about the jump, but they're their own elected body. There is a election that takes place the third Saturday in February each year. There's not a big turnout for those things, but those are elected officials. These are all 6 fire districts. Their commissioners have passed resolutions with their salaries. These salaries are part of their budgets that are submitted to the Department of Community Affairs and approved by Department of Community Affairs and also approved by the voters in each election in February. So,
Yes.
Say middleman, I would say yes.
So as long as their resolution is legal, you guys kind of just rubber stamp it. I don't mean rubber stamp it but that's really what you're doing, I guess. Is that correct?
Well, we have to vote on it. Thank you, Mr. Sweet. Time's
Thank
up.
you for allowing me to go over.
Okay.
Yeah, so they got to vote on it, but they essentially don't have all the information. They just kind of, I guess it's like a formality that it goes through.
Who knows? I don't know. John.
I don't know. We couldn't get any clear answers on that one.
When can you get a clear answer in Gloucester Township? You can't.
You can't.
So Ray Polidoro gets up there. He's back on the fire commissioner again. Let's watch his clip.
The reason I'm bringing up all the items that are this particular commissioner is that it's so out of range of everyone else, including all the perks that came with it. No other commissioner has. The health benefits at $30,000, that salary is out of range. Everything about this is out of range. The average salary of our commissioners from one end of town to the other being between $4,000 and $6,000. None of you have a problem with this one individual going from $34,000, way above $6,000, to $89,316. None of you have a problem with that, but you have the opportunity to turn that down and make them revisit it. It's just so out of whack. Anyone?
Mr. Polidoro, you have to direct the questions here, but I'm going to respond to that. And you were told at that meeting as well. He also serves as the administrator of District 85. And there is another district, I can name one, that does have an administrator that is making in that ballpark, $86,000 as an administrator. You can look that up on their budget for that particular district. So as I understand, Mr. Carlmere also serves as a solicitor, and he's also the administrator of Fire District 5.
That's correct. He serves as administrator.
But as business administrator, I asked him what his qualifications was. And he said, well, I did it before. I've been doing it. That doesn't sound like qualifications. We've asked Tom Curtis. Tom Curtis is certainly qualified to do the budget. I really, really urge you to table this, remove it, but that salary is out of, you know how many firefighters, how much beneficial that money would be to actual firefighters than a commissioner who has side businesses. It looks and smells awfully bad. And I urge you to either take it off, vote it down, don't let this pass. There's no good reason for it. It's out of line. Thank you again. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and a safe holiday.
With that, we'll close the portion.
All right, so yeah, we don't have a whole lot of information.
No, we don't.
But
it's, it's just one of those things. Hey, actually, Ray, someone has something else to say to you back to that comment.
Happy holidays, everyone. Merry Christmas. From what I understand, it's Hanukkah this time.
It is.
Yeah, but it's just one of those things where it's, councils up there. Basically, what Ray was saying was like, you are our representatives of our, of the people. Yes, we have 6 different fire districts in this town. This one in particular is coming back and saying, like, basically, hey, we're gonna have somebody pay you $90,000, or anyone else get paid for. You guys have the power to, like, stop that, but you're just not going to. Can you please not vote on this here? You're our representatives. I understand that, yes, there are public meetings that we can go to and all this kind of stuff, but it's built in that there's a formality that has to go to you guys, but that formality is for a effing reason. Like,
and the biggest argument here too is, so their argument to that is, well, look, somebody else does kind of the same thing and they make $86,000, but immediately then I go to, well, okay, what if we consolidated them all?
Yeah,
and we paid one person $120,000.
Joe, how many fire chiefs are there in Philadelphia? Was there one?
Is there one?
It's one, I believe. Yeah.
In Philadelphia?
In Philadelphia, not Gloucester Township.
So, what if we just paid one person to do them all, and then you know what? I don't even care.
Or a fire commissioner or whatever.
Look, I don't care if we pay.
We have more here than Philadelphia of whatever the position.
All right, so take 86,000 plus 89,000, and I don't care if we have to pay two other people to the same amount of money that we're paying these two people to do these different jobs that are required, head of personnel and business administration. I just want to know that it's done right by the right people, and I want to know that we're not overlapping. And look, if there's one or two people that have to fill these roles and do them full time, that's great. I think what the argument is too is this person is basically has a part-time job, making 89,000 with full benefits, and they feel like that's not right. And look, and if the firefighters are saying it, I believe the firefighters.
I believe the firefighters as well. And, Ray had brought up in that clip there that there's, side businesses, and that, piece of that, comment that he had there, I've had multiple people tell me who are firefighters, again, I'm not in this world. I thank them for all their service and everything, but I'm not in that world, so I don't know. I can only take what I've been told. But they see things with their own eyes, and they're disgusted by what they see. One of the things that they see is that, the side business that he's talking about, is that this particular fire commissioner has a side business that's fire restoration. Well, where would you get if you had a fire restoration company, what would be the best client that you could find? Someone who just had a fire?
Well, you're going to know.
Who would be the first person to know?
You're going to know
that's a client. Yeah. That's a new client for you.
So when you're there, when you're there, and you just hand them, hey, sorry, your house burned down.
Right.
Here's a card.
Yeah. Or it's hey, it needs to be boarded up. I have a company that boards up houses that were just caught on fire, because actually you have to board them up. No pressure, but here's the card. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, here. Okay, convenient. Now I don't have to think about this. I don't have to go research to find out who my entire life has been destroyed. It's convenient for me to do that. It's just unethical. Even if it's legal, it is probably the most slime ball. It's literally like a lawyer going out to a
I was gonna say, it's like when they're pulling you out of the ambulance, wheeling you into the hospital, and the lawyer's waiting there, and he's like, "Here's my card."
Yeah. And then in addition, that lawyer is also oh, taxpayers, pay me $89,000 a year because I'm going to do the same job that this person is here. But actually, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to show up at all. I'm actually just going to hire assistants to do the job that I was actually paid to do, but I'm going to actually hire them as part-time. It's just a whole... why are you a slime ball? That's it. Basically what it comes down to.
And look, hey, if we're not getting any of this right, and you're a firefighter, and look, reach out, because we're only here to speak for you, and I hope that we're doing a somewhat of a decent job bringing this to light and speaking for you.
Yeah. I don't know anything about this. Any of the passion that I have that I'm displaying here is from people who have told me the stories. I have no firsthand knowledge of this. My passion comes from the stories, and it just gets me fired up when someone that is living in that world is basically pouring their heart out to you and saying this is what I have to deal with. And that's the thing. People call it corruption, but it's more unethical things than corruption. If you were to say, it's not illegal.
Yeah, right.
It's not illegal to do. But it's just literal piece of garbage stuff. Why would you... Really?
If all the stuff that we talk about in Gloucester Township was illegal, eventually people would wind up in prison.
Right.
But it's not illegal. It's just
this is... You're such a...
It's stuff that would normally get people voted out.
Right.
But we don't
somehow we don't vote.
We don't do that stuff here.
Yeah.
And it's it's another good thing to bring up too, that and we should while we're on the topic, these positions are up for re-election in February.
Oh, the fire commissioner, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, literally anyone in town should go run for this position. I wish I could bring it up here right now. But
if you can look at budgets and look at budgets and improve budgets and take feedback from firefighters, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
It's
managing a small business, really. There's a it's a document from the state where it's the what the heck is it called? The local finance board. So this Lamb's Terrace had to go in front of the local finance board, and it was a what do you call it? When you're trying to testimony. It was a testimony from Carlamere and from this gentleman who has increased his salary to $89,000 in order to fight for a fire truck. And their claim was that Lamb's Terrace is such a small town and that they only had 8 voters come out in the last election. 8 voters is what they testified to.
Oh, wow.
Under oath that there were 8 voters. I know pretty much anyone in town could go find 8 people to come out and vote for them. If there were 8 voters, I mean, one of them had to vote for someone else, right? Even if they didn't.
Wow.
If it was 8 just for Mr. Barry,
yeah,
that really any one of these towns, if this is the only election or the turnout that we have, I don't know.
Man,
I haven't looked into it.
I didn't realize it was like 8 voters for that.
That's what I don't know that that's actually true.
We could probably find 10 people to vote against.
That's what I'm saying. You could go run for this, and we could go. I mean, literally go rally up 10 people to go vote against that. It's pretty easy to do.
Yeah.
I don't know why it hasn't been done before, but it's pretty simple to go do, I would imagine. Now, if they know that you're going to go do it, watch what happens. There's probably going to be elect forms that need to be filled out with everything else. There's going to be campaign. There might come out now. Yeah, there might be 18,000 people come out and vote for a fire district.
Going to go knock on your door now talking about fire.
Yeah. That's only if you're, the son of a former mayor or something.
I didn't realize there was that connection there. But
remind me tomorrow here. Let's see.
So Ray Palladoro was up again, right?
Yeah, he was. I think I'm a little ahead of myself here. What are we on? 6?
Yeah.
What's that called? Yeah.
When Ms. Troxel had a question regarding that resolution, you told her she could speak at the public portion. And then when you raised the vote on the question, when you called for a motion in a second, wouldn't that have been the opportunity for you to have her ask the question regarding what she was voting on, as opposed to having her ask at the second public portion?
I can speak.
Thank you, Mr. Prado.
I'm okay with that.
You are?
I certainly am.
Nice.
If I wanted to speak, I would.
Thank you.
Don't know what that was, but
well, that was basically Orlando shut down one of the councilmen that was trying to answer back to one of the questions that was being asked about that resolution that's being voted on about passing the firemen. Yeah. Orlando told her, no, do not respond to him. Wait till the second public portion, which after the second public portion, the vote would already have been cast, and she wouldn't have been able to speak her mind or ask her question or whatever it was. So Ray was asking, wouldn't it be more appropriate to allow her to speak during that time? And Orlando was like, no. And she backed Orlando up, saying, I could speak for myself, which she didn't speak for herself. So obviously she can't speak for herself.
Look, as much as I would have liked to have been a part of this thing here, this council with the last election, I just wish anybody else would have won that would speak. Because the problem is when you go up and you want to ask, you can't ask anybody else on council a question. And I've watched council meetings from other towns, and there's dialogue back and forth. In ours, you cannot ask a council person a question without going through the president. And it appears that the councilman cannot speak without getting approval.
Him approving it, yeah.
They
call that narcissism.
They are elected because the people want them to speak. So there is no way, and there's a new look. There's a new group of people, kind of new, one new person going to be put on council in January. I hope that person speaks for themselves. I hope that there is a change and how this works, and that person doesn't fall in line and says, look, I am a person, I speak for myself. I hope that happens.
Yeah.
I hope that happens.
That'd be great.
I will put that person on the pedestal if that happens.
Yeah. So, anyway, there was...
oh, the Smithman thing, man. This...
Oh, man.
Let me break this down. So she, I guess she paid money for something that had to do with an open request. I guess there was something that might have cost.
Sometimes, when you ask for like, I don't know, recordings or like a lot of records, they're like, we need to put this on a CD, and it's like $4 or whatever, $3 or something. Somehow she overpaid for it, so she was owed a check back. So Miss Smithman is someone who we do not bring on to this podcast very often at all. It's usually the same topics. It's usually a good portion about her address, which is a continuous reoccurring theme, for her.
So it's kind of like, I live in Sicklerville.
Mm-hmm.
It's also, I think at some point, it's also, people refer to as Ariel. If on the mailing address, it can be Gloucester Township.
Mm-hmm.
It's like my parents lived in Pine Hill, but the mailing address was like Clementon.
Mm-hmm.
If you send mail to any of those addresses, they get to you. But when they sent her a refund check and she got it, but she's been disturbed for weeks now because it didn't have the exact mailing address that she knows it to be. Now she got the check.
So it's I can't even wrap my head around it. She literally received the check. I've heard her, if you combined all of the minutes together that she has spoken about her address, it's hours of my life that I've listened to her address and the confusion around it, what it should be, what it couldn't be, what it's not. And so somehow someone had to mail her something randomly, and she actually received it, but she did not like the address that was written on it. So she returned it to sender because that's not what she was told it should be. So here, let's play the clip. We can't, it's clip 7 here.
I had made an overpayment by mistake. How does that overpayment get refunded?
It was mailed to your home, the address that we have on file.
It was not the address that was posted on the wall. The address actually wasn't locatable to my actual address, to my apartment, so I returned it to sender. Did Gloucester Township receive it back? Oh, so you want me to show you the picture that I took of the envelope?
So that resolution was actually corrected after you made correction at the last meeting. I actually pulled your last open request and copied your address from there and made the correction with Christy in the finance department. So if it did not go to the right location, that is because that's the location that was placed on your Oprah and your handwriting.
Oh, no, it went to the correct mailbox for my apartment, but it did not have the correct address listed on it.
So you returned it back?
I've put return to sender in case there's another Shaughnessy Smithman somewhere that lives in something very similar to my address. I said return to sender. It was a government check. I'm not going to take it into my apartment.
It made its way to your mailbox and you returned it back.
That's correct.
I don't even know what my head was going to explode in this meeting when I was sitting there listening to this. I'm like, wait, she literally received the check. She then said, this can't be for me. It's for another
She mentioned
Shaughnessy
in the meeting
Smithman.
There could be another Shaughnessy Smithman living in Millbridge Apartments.
In her house. And she needs to send it back, return to sender. Because that's not the number that she would have written. But their point is, it made it to your mailbox. Either way, folks, this was a mind-blowing one that
this is weeks.
We can move on.
This is weeks. This is weeks of council meeting that we've covered that she's done this.
Weeks, Joe. It's 2 years. Orlando in
Yes.
2021 knocked on her door and said you should come out to a council meeting, and she's been to every single one since.
And then
This almost the exact scenario has happened. Something similar to this.
This is what happens when you don't say no to Mercado.
Yeah. Well, she did. I guess someone somehow must have told her something. So she had. You remember that game show was like, "This is your life," and there's like somebody from your past comes out and is like, Joe, do you remember when we were in the woods in Pine Hill, or I don't know? And
I spent a lot of times in the woods in Pine Hill.
Oh my God, is this Frank from 3rd grade? And you're like, yeah. She played that game with Orlando here. So if you play clip 8.
I used to hang out with Frank in 3rd grade in Pine Hill. That's weird.
Really?
Yes. Yes, yeah. Clip 8.
I knew it.
May I ask, do you know anyone by the name of Andrea? Have you ever, from like the 1980s?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Andrea from the 1980s?
From about the 1980s, have you ever at all? I don't think so, but that's why I'm asking you.
No.
Very good. Then you should make sure that you state that. It seemed that some of the conversation and the history that goes on and the insistence that you adhere to the history that will be given. I still cannot get my identity put back into place. I know that I'm not significant enough to have anybody defeat themselves for somebody else. I can certainly vouch for my entire family that lived in the state of New Jersey that they don't. So why would you do it for a member of a family that doesn't? They do it to me too. I guess that becomes the way. But the way that I've understood the last year and a half or so of meetings, it seemed that they will place an accusation of something that happened in history if you don't comply. So I just wanted to make sure. I didn't think that you knew anybody named Andrea. I had nothing to do with any type of stairwell or anything. Was pretty sure about that. I just wanted to make sure some of the behaviors that I noticed that you would reflect very lightly without even knowing it are things that have to do with a high crime. And I know that it doesn't have anything to do with you. So I wanted to make sure that the entire council knows, and anyone that can hear, that it would have nothing to do with, are you still President Mercado?
Yeah.
Then make sure it has nothing to do with President Mercado, because the accusation was placed on my dad. And I don't want that to happen to anybody else. Okay. Thank you, council.
Thank you.
So I'm Googling.
God, what?
Orlando Mercado in a stairwell with Andrea.
In the 80s.
Yeah.
We're 1981, 82, 83, 84.
I heard Andrea and I was like, oh, she's going to do stub stuff. Didn't happen.
Right.
Not from the 80s, but.
Oh my God, I was blown away. And then she's like, I knew it wasn't you. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It was just bizarre. I don't know where that came from, who left something on her.
I wish I was at that meeting to see if there was panic on his face, but
I didn't see any panic. It was more just like, what is going on here?
So the next clip here is
Yes.
Denise Coyne has been to council meetings talking about her First Amendment rights. And
all of our First Amendment rights.
All of our First Amendment rights. And she wanted to read off a little bit. She basically had a statement to say. It's a long clip, but stick with us through it here, and we'll discuss it afterwards.
Yeah.
So let's kick over to clip 9.
We'll go to 9.
Yep.
Residents are private citizens. We are not public employees. We do not answer to our elected officials. We have the freedom to express our opinions, ask questions, and move freely, a freedom protected by federal law under the Constitution. When council members single us out for asking questions, leaving a meeting, suggesting a need for us to change our hearts, or displaying dismissive behavior during public meetings, it constitutes bullying and tyrannical behavior. Expressing dissatisfaction and challenging decisions are within our rights, and our motives are not subject to scrutiny. Accusations by council members accusing us of illegal activities without proof, or labeling someone a stalker for asking legitimate questions, are disrespectful and unacceptable. Implying that we are racist for questioning aspects of low-income developments is also inappropriate. Stating that it's not always about the message, but sometimes it's about the messenger is also disrespectful. Residents should be able to express concerns without fear of reprisals or dismissive attitudes. At the last council meeting, a councilwoman said we do not know about all of her acts of kindness performed behind the scenes. She is unaware of ours. The difference is that we are not council members and we are not expected to attend events. Helping others should be a basic responsibility of being human rather than a grandiose accomplishment to be paraded. Boasting about acts of kindness should not be used to overshadow the serious concerns raised by us. Township employees are paid to help us. It is their job. We aren't complaining about trivial matters. I've never heard any of us complain that council did not give candy to schools. Our concerns are about issues such as unaffordable taxes, lack of accountability, rights violations, and disrespect. There are no prerequisites for us to email questions in about agenda items in the advance of a meeting to be eligible for a proper response. We expect public employees and council members to be well-versed in agenda items and to provide clear, informed responses to questions raised. If they fall short, the fault lies with them. We expect responses to all questions, not just routine matters such as street lighting, but also clarifications on significant financial issues like potential savings from taking over the MUA. We should not have to conduct due diligence before asking questions. The onus of due diligence lies with the council members. A councilwoman claimed that a resolution was passed years ago that prevented political flyers from being in the municipal building or the parking lot. However, upon investigation, no such ordinance or resolution exists. This incorrect information discourages people from exercising their First Amendment rights and should be rectified. A councilman mentioned at the last meeting that he's never heard about our First Amendment rights more than he has in recent months. As long as we feel our rights are being infringed upon, this will be continued to be brought up. We owe it to future generations to safeguard our rights by continuing to exercise them. If the councilman is fatigued by hearing about our First Amendment rights, he should strive to honor the oath he took to uphold the Constitution. In a town where the majority aligns with the Democratic Party, it's striking that every council member, administration official, and board member is a Democrat, leaving non-Democrat residents without representation. In this environment, the demand for transparency, accountability, and respect becomes even more critical. Unlike many political systems that incorporate checks and balances, Gloucester Township lacks such safeguards against the concentration of power. Here, we the residents serve as checks and balances. We are committed to fulfilling our duty to question, challenge decisions, and hold our elected representatives accountable despite your attempts to silence us and bully us. We are the only thing standing between democracy and tyranny. Council President once said that we are still here in response to residents' complaints. That sentiment can be echoed back to council members. If council members find it challenging to be respectful, accountable, and transparent, they are free to leave public service. No one is making them stay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
So yeah, I don't know. Dean has done this. Denise has done this. Many people have done this. And to me, it's just like, no matter how many speeches you give, it's never going to really change.
It's going to fall on deaf ears.
It is. And I was thinking, like, this simply could be repaired by maybe council president saying, look, I've thought about a lot of the things you folks have talked about. And look, we're coming up on a new year with some new faces. And I want you to know that you're heard. And
well, to the point of earlier when it was asked, like, hey, can you put in, and I think it's in another clip that we have in the future here, like the salaries of the firemen that were on the thing, like it was not in our agenda to know what that actually is. So unless I'm a resident of this particular fire district, and I actually pay attention to that fire district, and I go to that public meeting because I don't already have a school board meeting to go to, a council meeting to go to, a this meeting to go to, a that meeting to go to, and you're my representative of the government of the town, and you're saying, well, it's not required by statute. I didn't ask if it was required by statute.
Yeah.
I asked, can you put it in there so that I could see it if I were to look at this meeting instead of one of the other 9 that I have to attend in order to be an informed resident? And they say, no, that's there. You can look at that public meeting. That's intentionally not being transparent, which is the same thing of...
If something like that has to be approved by council to move forward, even though the details aren't necessary, but for some formality, it has to go through council to get through. If council says, look, we're going to table this because we don't have the information that you folks have asked for, then the next time this happens with one of the fire districts, they're going to submit all the information.
Right.
And look,
well, whether it's required to submit it or to present it to the public or not is meaningless. Put it out in front of people.
But council, as our representatives, can say, no, until we have more information, we're not going to vote on this. And then it's a 2-week delay. 2 weeks. That's it. And then it happens. And then you set the precedent for, if we're going to vote on something, we have all the information. Mm-hmm. And then the people in the audience there, if all their questions are answered before they ever ask them, they may find it necessary to not show up anymore, because everything that they want to know is discussed.
The transparency is not required, right, on everything, and that's not what we're asking. That's required. We're asking if it could just be. We have the right to know it. It's our money. The government doesn't have any money. This is what I taught my daughter, I don't know how long ago now. It's our money that they have, right? Yes. And they're spending our money. We have the right to know what our government that we elect to represent us is doing, right? Yeah. And when you're saying, oh, by statute, it's not required. No crap, it's not required. But we're asking you, as our representative, could you just include it?
It's not even.
It doesn't. There's nothing stopping you from including it. But you are the one that's stopping from presenting it to us.
And for me, this started.
It's literally printing a number in a thing. That's all it is. That's all we asked you to do. But you're intentionally not doing it as our elected representative.
I'll tell you, this all started for me because of money and because of taxes and because I'm such an anti-tax, small government kind of guy. I don't care at this point about the money aspect. The biggest part about this is representation.
Yeah.
And there is no representation. Not for me, not for Denise Coyne.
No.
Not for any of the people other than the folks that just went out and said, I got to vote for Democrats because they give us Wawa.
I did love her line, though, about parading their like what they do for people out there.
God, the premium services, and we got to show up at every park, and we had ribbon cuttings at Wawa's because Wawa wouldn't want to be here if it wasn't for awesome Dave Mayer.
Right. Yeah.
No.
But it was like, we go to residents' houses. Oh, wait, are you talking about the person who was allowing you to hold a community campaign rally at their house? Oh, you went to that? Oh, congratulations. We should throw a parade for you.
You went to ask for votes.
Right. Yeah. Oh, okay,
congratulations.
Cool. You're doing so much for us.
I'm sure the seniors all loved the spaghetti dinners that you gave them when you harvested their ballots.
All right. Hey, let's move on because I'm getting hot here. Sam went up and he was talking about the grants, and this is actually one of the best things that I think that came out of that meeting. And someone else had mentioned this too as being one of the great revelations, I guess you could say.
Okay,
what happens is, like, we'll apply for a grant, right? We'll say, okay, we need a new park over in Mulberry Station, or we need a de-escalation machine for the police department. We're going to apply for a grant for that. And then what we do is we say, oh, well, actually, we're going to borrow that because we think we're going to get the grant. Fingers crossed. We're gonna borrow for that grant, though. And then we're going to finance it for 5-10 years or whatever the case is. But what was actually Sam got to be said out loud this meeting here, and I'm sure somebody's probably pissed off about it. So Tom Cardis was not here, but actually his boss, who is the CFO, I guess, was there, said out loud that these grants, if they're like, I have a letter saying that, yeah, we're going to get this money back if we go and spend it. Because what happened was, they say they're going to get a grant for this, whatever you call whatever the grant is, and then they'll say, well, we need to finance for it and hope that we get it. We're probably going to get it. We don't know we're going to get it. And then they say they can't recognize that income, like the grant money. Mm-hmm. So in order to do that, in order to spend the money, which we need to do now, we need to finance for it. So what they did was to say, you can't do that. For years, that's what they said.
COVID money.
Right. Now, all of a sudden, now we're able to spend the money before we actually got the money. So how did we... So his question was basically, what money did we spend before we knew that we actually got the money? And then what came out of this was, well, we knew we were going to get the money because it was a reimbursement grant. The grant was, if you spend it, we'll give you the money back. So buy it, and we'll give it back. It's just like if you had an American Express like Platinum card, for instance, and one of the perks are to go to get TSA pre-check, and you go get TSA pre-check. You still have to pay for it with your American Express card, and then all of a sudden on your account it's canceled because you spent it and it's done. That's kind of the same thing as this. But they would never, ever, ever admit to that, and somehow he got him to admit to it. What was that, clip 10?
Yeah.
Is that I don't know where we got here. Oh, man. All right.
I want to go back to the de-escalation machine that we purchased. We got a grant for that, and it was back in February that we got, this council authorized the grant for it. Do we know where the money came out of, where the money was spent?
It was spent out of the grant fund.
Out of the grant fund, but we didn't get the grant until just recently.
It's a reimbursement-based grant.
Okay, so how does that work?
You put it as a receivable on your balance statement.
Oh my God.
You get the grant money, you spend the money, you submit all the paperwork to whichever organization granting you the money, and then you reimburse the receivable. So it's set up as a receivable.
All right, so, but we've been told several times that we cannot recognize any grant money until it's actually received. Now, you just said that we can put it down as a receivable.
You put it down as a receivable in your balance statement.
Does that hit the budget?
As long as you have an award letter. Some grants are reimbursement based and some grants you receive the money up front. But as long as you have an award letter in your hand, you can put it as a receivable in your balance statement.
Okay, so then going back to a resolution approving the application for the playgrounds. So the playgrounds not fall into that? Because here's the same thing, on the same day, we got a grant for $586,000 for the playgrounds with a resolution here for $586,000. But yet we borrowed for those playgrounds. But here's the grant coming in. So is that a different grant as opposed to the de-escalation grant that we got? Or are they the same grants?
Green Acres. One's a Green Acres grant and one was through the Department of Justice, I believe.
Okay, but is the grant from Green Acres a receivable grant that we can recognize?
Yeah.
So if we could recognize it, why are we borrowing for that money, for the playground? Because, and again, let me just state that I'm not against playgrounds, okay? I'm just wondering why we're borrowing for the playgrounds when we have a grant coming in.
Yeah, it's amazing though, like how this all works, right? It's a matter. It's like a shell game. They just and move it around. It has to do with what they want you to know, right?
Tom Cardis is never going to be absent again.
Yeah, right.
It's just
one of those things.
I mean, I remember for a good year we talked about COVID money, and we were awarded COVID money, $3.4 million, I believe it was, and they always said you can't guarantee that money because it's not here yet.
Right.
Yet they just said you can guarantee that money because we got the grant.
Right.
The money's not here yet, but it's guaranteed. That was the same with the COVID money.
Well, in this scenario here, it's, the little kid's got his pants down around his ankles. He's peeing on the wall, and he gets caught. And they're like, well, I'm allowed to do that because nobody's around or whatever the case is. But other times, like, no, you can't. You know what I mean? You have to go over here and do that. Yeah. And so it's whatever they get caught doing, they have to explain. And so here's the scenario where it's like, wait a minute, why did you had this money, you could have recognized it as actual, a receivable, so income coming in, but instead you said, we don't know if we're going to get it, but we need to do this project, so we're going to have to borrow for it over here, which borrowing it for it over here then creates more money that we have to pay to the Norcross machine, and the whole big thing, and then that becomes some we're financing, that becomes debt service for the future. We can continue raising your taxes based off of that. It's Joe. It's who can do a job, right? We all every one of us knows somebody that's like bad with money, right? It's
yeah, God.
And we've gone over this before. Like we don't need a pickleball court. We can't afford a pickleball court, so we're not going to put one in. But then this guy over here goes and puts a pickleball court in, even though he can't even afford to buy toilet paper to clean up after himself over here. And then this guy, they all get the job done. Like we all live, but some of us just live like, what are you doing, dude? Right? And then other people are like, oh, that guy's got his stuff together over there, and that's where we are in this scenario. And it's just like they hide stuff.
Well,
it could all happen. Yeah, you're right. It could all happen. How are you correct in the way that you're doing it? I don't know if there's a right or wrong way, but
is it
your way is not the best way?
Is it so bad that we? Now this sounded bad. This interaction sounded bad, but this interaction was probably some of the most truthful stuff that we've heard.
Right.
And it's and like look. Nobody can spin the word salad better than Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
So this
Who, me?
This was
I'm just hanging around.
This was a great refresher here, and it's never going to happen again. He's never going to be absent. She's never going to be up there to speak for him. Mm-hmm. But look, shout out to her for being honest, and just doing the job that she is paid to do, and that the people would like her to do. We got an honest answer, and we're not used to that, so it's a little different.
Well, what qualifies one to be the business administrator?
There are qualifications outside of just accounting. There's a business administration for municipal accounting certifications that are done.
Where are the clips? Oh, here we go. Okay.
Yeah.
So, from my understanding, you had approved this, correct? So you're confirming, the compensation for all 6 fire districts? And not knowing a lot, from my understanding with the discussion that happened tonight, did you guys give the stamp of approval for somebody to basically double their salary?
This individual, as I explained to Mr. Polidoro, as we just had a discussion with Mr. Sweet, is acting as the administrator of the fire district.
So the clip.
Yeah, so he's essentially, I think some people got that confused too. I think the guy's qualifications for the fire district business administrator, he's not a business administrator. He's just an administrator in the fire district. Completely separate from the requirements that are required for municipal accounting administration. It's different, but
I'm going to disagree with you on that. Just because I don't know that that's true. And I don't know that I'm correct in being against you. But when I was at that meeting, he basically said, I do the budgets, which the business administrator would do for this, and the reason that he stated that his qualifications are there is because I'd been doing this for 20 years. Okay, well, that doesn't. I could be a surgeon in the boonies of wherever, Brazil or somewhere, and that doesn't mean that I'm a qualified doctor in the U.S. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference. Well, and I mean, I don't know that he is.
This goes back to like before when we talked about what happens. What happens if somebody else wins the election, and if the decision's ever made to replace the business administrator.
Yeah.
And I remember it was brought up that, well, hey Sam, you're an accountant. Why wouldn't you just take that spot? And Sam said, look, there's a special certification for municipal accounting that you have to have it. Now the fire commissioner definitely isn't one of those people, and I doubt that the other person.
Well, no, and that's what was explained before. The fire. So he is this particular person we're talking about, Barry Engelbert.
Mm-hmm.
He is a commissioner. However, he is also doing another job. It's no different than if I were. I don't know how to say this here. Who can I equate it to? If I am the council president and I'm also the human resources supervisor of. So, yes, I have two different public jobs. I'm being paid from two different, things. I'm doing that, job. So it's two positions could be held by the same person, and that's the scenario in this case here. And that's kind of the argument around this. However, the question, though, is, okay, that's fine that you're going to be the administrator or whatever, but do you have the qualifications to do that? I understand that your argument here is that other districts might have a business administrator who is qualified to be a business administrator at $100,000 a year, and you're supposedly saving us money by you doing it for $89,000 this year versus last year when you also did the same exact job for $30-some thousand a year. What are your qualifications to be that person? And that's the question. And no one can answer that other than he did it before. What? Come on.
Yeah, we haven't screwed it up yet.
Yeah, we haven't screwed it up yet. They have auditors to catch this stuff. Their budgets are submitted to the community affairs department. Please, like what do you think? He's an idiot? Like, no, that's not.
And then
what we asked.
good old Carlemere was he was a part of this whole thing too. So if you watch the meeting from the fire district,
go on our YouTube channel. It's on there
last week. You'll notice the township solicitor, Carlemere, David Carlemere, he's there and he's a part of this whole thing because if anything weird's going on,
who else to protect you? But
he's the guy that knows how to get through it all. So
let's play clip 12 here.
Yep.
In the future, would the salaries be listed on the agenda so therefore the public could see it, or no?
Hell no.
Refer to and seek the counsel of the solicitor and the clerk as far as providing that information.
The statute only requires that the governing body gives an account of each resolution from each of the 5 to 6 districts and stating what their commissioner salaries are. And the council has to do a resolution authorizing the approval of their salaries. It doesn't have to list them all because they've already gotten all the information. They all have to see that information before that resolution is put.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying before that he just basically says, it's not required. We are absolutely 1,000% not going to post it on there because it's not required. So
it's the same thing that we get from. It's the same thing we get from when Ray Pallador goes up and talks to Tom Cardis about different things in the budget, and Tom says the state of New Jersey says we're allowed to.
Yeah,
it's one of those things. We're allowed to. But as Ray always says, look, New Jersey's not the greatest example of.
We are not the shining
budgeting.
star.
So, Yeah, it's one of those things.
Yeah, I mean this next one here, we kind of already went over this before too, where residents were told, well, you can go to 6 different council or fire district meetings to get that answer.
Are you able to explain to the residents why 2 districts have a fire district administrator and 4 districts do not?
Mr. Carlin, that's a commissioner's choice. I can't answer that question. They're the ones that have to evaluate how their district runs. What are the responsibilities of the person that they're putting into that position? And their meetings are open public meetings. Somebody can go there and ask them that question. They have to make the determination as to why one district has a full-time business administrator at a certain salary and other commissioners have their commissioners do the job.
Okay, but we have 6 fire districts in the township, so you're telling me I would have to go to 6 district meetings to determine who has a commissioner, who has an administrator, who doesn't, why they have them and why they don't?
You can look at their budgets, you can, their open public meetings and records. This is just that the government is. You can ask for their records by an open request and provide it. You'll see who has full-time employees and who does not.
All right, I cut that clip off there early, but basically that's the gist of it. It's why do we have 6? Do we need 6?
Why do we have 6? And if
you have to go to 6 different public meetings to get an answer.
If you want to keep track of all, if you want to make sure they're all doing the job right, you got to go to 6 different fire district meetings. You also got to go to council meetings because they're generally not doing things the way that you would think that. And then if you want to check out the schools, go to school board meetings,
zoning board, planning board, all these.
Your entire life now is going to revolve around just going to all these different meetings.
Yeah, listen, look, Joe Public, it's your fault. It's your fault that you didn't revolve your life around this. Man. Guess what? Since you didn't, pay up. Taxes are raised every other year. That's just how it is.
Consolidation, man. Consolidation on this. I think consolidation on this.
I'm just going to be a porch pirate, Joe. I'm going to go around and get packages off other people's properties.
I like this idea. I really do. I like this idea because I was thinking it sucks buying gifts, right?
It does.
Because I don't know what my brother, my sister, their kids, my parents, I don't know what they want, and they don't do wish lists. So I was just thinking, man, if I porch pirated gifts from people, I just run up and I grab a gift and I don't take it out of the box. I just wrap some paper around it. And then when they all come over,
it's already in a box. Why do I need to open it?
Everybody comes here on Christmas Day at my house, and I give them gifts and they give me gifts. And a lot of times I'm like, it's a struggle every year. What do you want? What do you want? Just give me a wish list, right? But think about how awesome it is on Christmas night if I just go, I hand my brother a box, I hand my sister a box, and they're unwrapping it, and at the same time they're figuring out what they got.
You're just as excited
to find out. It's the same time I'm figuring out what they got.
Yeah.
Right? My brother's like, ladies' underwear. And I'm like, that's awesome, right? And, and he's like, yeah, and then I can record it. I put it on the podcast.
Right.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Right?
Ratings through the roof.
Oh, it's gold, So,
yeah. Well,
I like porch pirating. But
so at the end of our meeting, though, we had the polling of directors that kind of wrapped it all up. And when it came to Chief Harkins, he kind of went over. We did recently have the porch pirate thing going on here with a woman in town who decided she's just going to do this. She's going to hold a what do you call it, a white elephant, where whatever, you find out what you get later. Anyway, so we have a clip of Chief Harkins giving us a little rundown because, unfortunately, part of this whole thing was they did end up, from our police department, did end up catching who it was that was doing this. However, unfortunately, a police officer was injured in the pursuit of this woman, and I think everything's kind of okay, but he has some injuries that he's still dealing with. Now, yeah. So I'll play a little clip of that here.
I wanted to get council up to speed. We had an incident on Friday where an officer was injured, had to go to Cooper Hospital. The officer's recovery, he's still going through. He's still injured. He's getting further medical tests, but just thought it was important to let you know because it was quite a scene. We had this person had been stealing packages, which gained notoriety as we were trying to locate her. The officers did a good job, located her in a certain area. We had information, and she chose to run with 2 of her children in the car. So we did not pursue the vehicle because of that. She had a stolen tag on her car also as well. But just wanted to let you know the officer is doing well. He's recovering, but it was a very close call. But the department came together very well. They continue to investigate. We're proud that the U.S. Marshal Service, who are our partners, were able to apprehend her in Gloucester County today, so to bring some closure to the incident. So it's been receiving a lot of notoriety. I just felt it was something important for you to know about.
All right, so we did end up catching her, which is a great thing.
Yeah.
Kudos to the police department. I personally think Chief Harkins does a great job in the town. Yeah. Again, when we're talking about these first responders, like the firemen and the police department, we are not disparaging them in any way. But anyway, so that was one of the closing remarks during this council meeting. Another one came from someone who Joe, I think I'm going to miss the remarks that come out of this seat. So Miss Albright Troxel has some real dingers, zingers, whatever you want to call them, that come out of there, and you're like, did that really come out of someone's mouth? So in her closing
second
remarks,
to last, yeah,
she was shut down a few times prior, where she wanted to say something. Council president shut her down and said, no, don't open your mouth. You can say that after you're not allowed to say anything about it anymore, and you actually already voted on it. She had to get her final word in, and what she basically had to say was, hey, all of you idiots out there, what you need to do, all you need to do, everyone, not just you individually, every single resident should call the fire departments individually and set up a time to talk to them. Go over the budget with them one-on-one. They'd be glad to do it for you because they have nothing else to do. There's nothing else. It was classic. What clip do we have on this
15.
one? It's 15. Clip 15. Listen to this.
Mrs. Albright Troxel? Yes, I did want to make a comment about all the questions about the fire budget. One of the things I always do, and I highly recommend you all do, is if you have any questions about the budget or before you're going to
all
vote
65,000
for
of
your district, I would suggest you call them and make an appointment to sit down and ask them about the budget. And if you have any questions, ask them, because they can answer them exactly for you. And it would save you a lot of time and stress, because you would know the answers right away, even before you even vote on anything.
Yeah.
Did you see the response that Ray Palladoro got when he went to the meeting and asked questions?
Oh, my God.
Can you imagine just any schmo off the street just calling up the fire district and going, hey, I've got a question about this budget?
Yeah. They would basically tell you to shove it right up your...
Yeah, you kick rocks, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, show up at our meeting, and then...
Who is this, Joe Public?
Yeah.
Screw you. Just pay up.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh,
so,
man.
Yeah, let's
tell the entire public.
60,000 people call the fire district and just ask them about their budget.
This is the same woman who a few weeks ago told everyone that there was a resolution passed that you're not allowed to pass out political flyers, which would be a violation of our First Amendment right, and it was just left untalked about or corrected or anything else. That's okay. Same thing with this. No one corrected her. No one said, hey, maybe we shouldn't be telling 65,000 people to call their fire department or the fire department to get a personal meeting together with their budget. Like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Sorry,
okay.
Sorry we were too busy with the fire out in your house. But we had 15,000 people out front wanting to talk to us about the budget. How about maybe we just consolidate this shit and we just have everybody go to one meeting and talk about it when it happens?
Oh, my God. She's insane. But anyway, then we had the very last thing we have here for you guys. I know it's been a long one. Thanks for hanging in there with us. But we have a clip from Vice President Mignone. Basically saying that the kids of Gloucester Township are so good that they were excluded from a National Hockey Ball Association or something like that.
Last couple of weeks, I read some unfortunate article about involving the National Ball Hockey Association, where they felt the need to lock out GTHA, Boston Township Hockey Association, from their nationals and the tournaments that run rampant starting in the new year. It's unfortunate. We have 700 players, boys and girls, that play for the organization, and they are extremely successful. They are extremely well coached. And the National Ball Hockey Association got together and felt the need to exclude them from these tournaments because they're winners. And that's unfortunate that these boys and girls won't get that opportunity to play in those type of tournaments because they win, because they're successful, because they're professional when they show up at the other rinks. And I just wanted to put that out there, that I'm disappointed in the National Ball Hockey Association for allowing that.
Man.
Thanks, Mike, for only commenting on sports stuff.
Yeah.
Ever. That's his contribution.
I did feel that he was also commenting on the kids are probably Democrats because they were winners. They were, the Republicans are. They definitely were not Republicans. They are not winners in this town.
Not in this town. But I mean, I get it. I get his point. It's hard to believe that they would say, "Look, you guys are too good to come and play." Like that. What is? That's like.
See, I don't know though.
That's like the fifth place you're gonna exclude the good guys now? I mean, is that really the truth? Is it really the truth that GT can't play hockey now in these tournaments because they're too good?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Like to your point, is that the truth? I don't know that. I get that you can be frustrated by somebody constantly winning. I totally get that, but I don't know that you would be excluded by it. At the same time, we have a society anymore that's about making sure everyone gets a participation trophy and and those type of things in sports. And maybe it has come to the point where a winner does get excluded. I mean, I can't question him. I don't know that there's any that he's lying about this. But what other reason would he have to say it than that was true? It's unfortunate if that is the case. But really I also don't like celebrating losers. That
really needs to be talked about. If they're too good, and then they can no longer play against anybody in tournaments, it's kind of a big deal. It's kind of
absolutely
yeah.
Is it also though a testament to the amount of resources that they have put into our youth sports in town?
How much money is dumped into GT hockey compared to other hockey? Are we just is it unfair to other teams because of the money aspect? I don't know. I'm genuinely curious because I feel really bad for these kids that are obviously excelling, but now are told, sorry, you're too good. So what message is to send to whoever wins the tournament? Hey, you guys won the tournament. Technically, you're second place.
Yeah, but and I'm not defending whoever this national ball hockey thing is, but I can tell you from my experiences of two different sports that are probably minor in anyone's life. One being like axe throwing, right? So I host and I run a lot of axe throwing tournaments, and the largest ones in the world. Not to brag, and I'll break myself, but from people from all over the world, and there's certain level though of in axe throwing of you're almost too good to like compete against. It's no fun for other people to even play against you because there's no point in even being you're that good. I get that aspect of it, and then when you go into the other part of my life is volleyball. My daughter is in volleyball in a national level, and there's a team called New York Juniors who, in order to play on New York Juniors team, has to do with money, basically. Mm-hmm. If you can afford to pay, $10,000 for just to be on the team, in addition to all of the travel costs, all the other things. So basically it comes down to a money aspect, which when you come down to a money aspect, you're excluding people who can't afford to do that and you're now putting them in a different class, right? So you have the Jersey Juniors who has they have coaches that are they're well beyond elementary school or middle school kids level, but they're paid to do that because that's what they're paid to go do. Getting these kids to be so good at what they do that it's almost unfair to other people because it becomes a financial barrier. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that might be what's happening here, where when I'm saying how much money we're dumping into Gloucester Town, we have these world class turf fields and hockey rinks and all this other stuff. And I'm not saying that, but somebody's putting money into it. We're somewhat, I guess we're middle class by means of overall, but there are affluent portions of Gloucester Township, and then there are parts that are not so affluent. So I don't know who's on these teams. I don't know anyway, we're getting into a whole big thing here. I don't even feel like I don't even know why we're going down this road here.
No, it's just
But it is a weird thing that was brought up at a council meeting as a school. Not a school, as a council member. Like youth sports is like.
He's big on that. I mean, he's big on that. Yeah. It's almost his ending. It's almost his ending statement every probably at least every 2 weeks. It's about something about baseball, hockey, whatever. It's his thing.
Well, good for him though that he's involved in the youth sports and doing all that stuff, and that's what his passion is. It's that time, not to take away from and it's his time to say whatever it is that's on his mind, just as it is for Denise to talk about her First Amendment rights, or Dina to talk about her or whatever, or Ray to talk about whatever. That's what he wants to talk about, and he has every right to do that, and I appreciate his right and his passion for the youth sports in that respect.
For sure.
But anyway, I kind of went off there on a random tangent, but I think that was it for that meeting. That was a long one there, guys. Sorry, it was about an hour and a half, but I don't know. We try to go through it quick. We're trying to get better at this.
Trying to squeeze it in. Yeah, we still got
There's so much sometimes to cover.
Yeah, because there's still so much to cover on Inside GT Talk too, which is
we'll get to that one next week.
Which is going to come up. Yeah, that'll be back out. So look for that one. There's some more topics we can expand on, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe.
Turn the notifications on.
Notification. Hey, even it wouldn't hurt to share it out either.
Yeah. Share it with your friends.
Share it on, you know what? We do a good job sharing on Facebook and stuff like that. Share it on, like, Nextdoor.
Yeah.
If you remember Nextdoor. Twitter. Anywhere. Anywhere, really.
MySpace.
It's weird that, every now and then just somebody pops up and they're like, I never even knew this existed.
Yep.
So.
Gracie, you have anything to say?
Nah. Gracie got to see Santa Claus tonight. So.
Oh yeah, you got to see Santa, right?
Gracie loves Santa Claus, man, to the point where she's 5, and she's seen Santa Claus for 5 years now, and every time she was a fire truck, man, she gets excited, goes to the front door, and she got to see Santa Claus this year. So.
All right, folks. So we'll see you next time. And before we go, let's just say Merry Christmas to you one last time.
Merry Christmas,
Happy
folks.
holidays.
Happy holidays, everyone. Merry Christmas. From what I understand, it's Hanukkah this time.